Marketing Your Private Practice is a podcast where you'll learn easy to implement tips and strategies to grow your business without spending all day online. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and I teach practitioners the Thrive marketing method to create simple and streamlined plans by focusing on long-term strategies, not just social media. Discover ways to spend less time on your marketing, attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Hey there, private practice heroes. Welcome back to the Marketing Your Private Practice with Kathy C podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and this is episode 2 in our special series of how you could be marketing your practice in just 1 hour a week. What I want to do with this series of episodes is really walk you through how I teach people to do their marketing and follow that MVP marketing plan that we talk about, that minimum viable plan where you can do what you need without overdoing it and spend just 1 hour a week on your marketing. Now, in episode 165, we did talk about setting this all up. So we talked about some goals, barriers that might be stopping you from doing your marketing, and also talking about creating a content cycle and a schedule that will all drive your marketing. These are the choices that you make that set the foundation for everything else that you are going to do when it comes to learning how to market your practice in 1 hour a week. So if you are ready to figure out how to make that your reality, then keep on listening because I am going to walk you through this very first practical step in making this happen, which is all about choosing some of those topics and those ideas of what to write about. Because without having those ideas in your back pocket so that you know exactly what you need to write about when you go to sit down and do your marketing, you're going to find that without them, you're struggling and you're spending way more time than you should be on marketing. And that's not what I want for you. As we dive into this, the one thing that I want to talk about and make sure that we sort of set as a base for this is we're going to do this entire series based on doing a cycle of once a month for your marketing. So that's creating that once a month cycle for creating that new anchor content article, which is what we talked about in episode 165. That's your main piece of content that you're going to use for the entire month. And the way that this 4-week cycle can work in helping you achieve that 1 hour a week goal for your marketing is by starting with having that plan of how often are you going to create the new content. This is where we start. And this is why I teach people how to do this by following a once a month cycle. That way you can take your 1 hour a week, do that over 4 weeks, and it becomes simple, repeatable, and easy to do. It also takes away a lot of that overwhelm feeling when it comes to marketing your practice or your business. So when I teach folks how to follow this MVP system, so remember, we're talking about that minimum viable plan that you want to do for your marketing. So the way that this 4-week cycle works is in week 1, you're going to write that anchor content article. So that's your main piece of content that you're going to use and base everything off of for the rest of the month. Then you're going to create some of your social media content to go with it there as well. What I typically teach people to make for their social media at this point is some brilliance tips, so some educational posts from the content that you have in your article. And then I always want you to have some promotional posts that are intended to get people back to your website to read that article on your blog, because we are going to post it there too. So these are some of the things that you're going to do in week 1. In week 2, that's when we tend to format and create those images. So in week 1, I did forget to mention, you want to create some ideas for what you might want to include on your images. You're not going to create the actual image there. You're just going to create the content that you may want to put on it. So the words that may go on your images. In week 2, that's when you start to do a little bit of work. So you might open up your Canva account and create some of those images. Then you're going to take the ideas that you had for some social media content. You might polish them up a little bit, add some emojis, put some formatting into them. And then you're going to spend some time networking on your chosen social media platform. That's going to be week 2. In week 3, that's when we take that article and we prep and format it to use as a newsletter. So you've got the base article written, but as you know, if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, that article, you're going to change it up a little bit when you put it on as a newsletter, and you're going to change it up a little more when you put it out as a blog post. Same article, you just have to do a little different formatting. So that's what you're going to do in week 3. You're going to prep that article to go on your newsletter. You're going to create the subject line. You typically want an image to go with it as well. So that's where you're going to make sure that you've got an image that you've created. We created those in week 2, by the way, so you don't have to do it now. Then you're going to proof your newsletter, put it into your email system, and schedule it to go out there online. Then you can typically take a little bit more time and spend some time online networking as well. I like to say go for 15 minutes when you do that. Then in week 4, what you're going to do is put your article now on your website as a blog post. And then you're going to schedule out the social media content that you created from that article. Add to that, spend a little more time engaging and connecting with people online, and you have now finished your 4th week in the cycle. Next week, you're going to write another anchor content article, put that together. You're going to create some of those social media posts to go with it. Write down some image ideas of what you're going to create with the images. Then you go into week 2, where you create those images, fix up the post to go on social media, and spend some time networking. Week number 3, we do the newsletter. We do the scheduling of that and some more networking time. And week 4, you get the blog on your website and do some more scheduling of posts. And then you spend your time engaging and connecting. That's it. You continue to do it over and over and over again. And that's it. Each week you spend 1 focused hour. Now, I will be honest, as you start out, you'll probably spend a little more than that as you hone your skills and get used to doing this format. But by the end of the month, you've got a blog post on your website, you've sent out a newsletter, and you've got consistent social media posts out there online. And that's how you get your marketing done without having it take over your entire week. The whole basis of this, though, is where we have to jump back to and start is, what are we going to write about? And that's what most people struggle with. Writing that anchor content article. You need to know what you're going to write about. And this is where people complain to me the most about where they get stuck with their marketing. Every time they sit down to write, they feel like they're starting from scratch. And that's why I teach people how to come up with these buckets of content ideas for their marketing. So think of these buckets as your main categories and themes that you're always going to come back to whenever it comes to your marketing and the topic that you're talking about. Those topics are typically some of your keywords. They're some of your words that people think about when they talk about you and your services. They're words that are going to tie back directly to the problems your clients face and the questions that they're asking about all the time. They're often topics that are going to be related to the services that you want to be known for. When you create these buckets of content ideas, it's going to help you save time and keep things consistent because you're going to make sure that you've planned out these ideas, these topics to write about that are all connected back to your services, your practice, or your business. So spend a little time and think about what is going to be that topic or idea that you want to put into your own base of content and ideas to write about when you go to sit down and write that anchor content. So yes, if you follow this, you will actually have an entire year of planned content to go out there and use for your marketing. The first thing you do is you've got to choose and use some of these buckets. I want you to pick 3 buckets. I'll be honest, sometimes I teach people how to do 6, but when you're starting out, we're going to cut it in half. So I want you to pick 3 main topics that match your expertise, that match some of the things that your ideal clients are talking about or looking about, some of the things that they're looking for. So you want these 3 topics to match your expertise. so what your services are all about. And these topics also need to be related to what your ideal clients are looking for and searching for. So as an example, a dietitian might pick some main topics like meal planning, or maybe they're going to pick nutrition myths. A therapist might pick something like coping tools or relationships or boundaries. So those would be some of your main topics. So I want you to pick just three that are related to your business, to your services, to the problems people have, and the solutions you help them find. So then, under each of those main topics, I want you to list out 3 subtopics. So, as an example, let's go back to nutrition myths. So, subtopics could be carbs, sugar, and fad diets. So, those could be 3 different subtopics. If you were going to think about doing meal planning, you could have meal prep strategies, you could have eating out on a budget, and you could have quick and easy dinners or meals. So, those would be some of those subtopics. Now, when you stand back, you've got 3 main topics and you've got 3 subtopics under each. So if you do the math, you've got 3 buckets with content ideas. You've got the 1 main topic and 3 sub ones in each. 3 groups of 4, which is 12 topics. 12 just so happens to be how many months there are in a year. So you actually have a full year of monthly articles all mapped out for you now. You have the idea, you have the topic that you want to talk about. Yes, there's definitely more to planning that and figuring some things out and getting into it a little bit more. You may want to connect it to special times of the year, different things like that. But now you do have an entire year of ideas of content to write about and use for your marketing. And if you've planned those topics out really well and the subtopics, they're going to be content that is related to what you offer and content that people would be looking for. Now, if you're someone who's a keener and you want to publish your articles twice a month, just double the list. You could either do 6 main topics and still stick with 3. 6 times 4 is 24. That's pretty much a year. Take a couple weeks off for holiday. Or you can stay with the 3 topics and just do 6 subtopics. So you can just add more to it. Okay? Planning your content bucket of ideas isn't just about a planning tool. It's actually giving yourself a shortcut to never having to stare at a blank screen again, wondering what to write about when it comes to your marketing. It helps you start off building that consistency that is really important. And then if you get doing this with a lot more ease and you find that you want to do more, then you can double it up and do 2 articles a month. So that is how you're going to get started, and making sure that you're getting the content ideas in place that you're going to need so you can create a content plan. It's all about coming up with those first ideas. And that's what these content buckets help you do. They help you literally put together in a bucket different ideas on different topics that help you come up with those ideas and the content pieces that you need to write about. Now, there are other ways that you can definitely get some more help in the Thrive Marketing Academy. I help folks a lot with ideas on what kind of articles to write. So you can have one like 3 steps to XXX. You can have, myths about blah, blah, blah. There's lots of different formats you can do. I think I have about 40 that I share to the students in my program. But the idea is you cannot do any of that unless you have those main ideas first. So that is critical. Your action step from today, because I want to make sure that you have some good steps to do to get started with this, because it really can make a huge difference in how you do your marketing and how much easier it's going to be to do as well. So start off by writing down at least 3 to 4 buckets of content ideas. And then I want you to come up with at least 3 subtopics for each one. And then let's get you doing this for real. So I want you to circle the one topic that you're going to turn into your very, very first anchor content article. And by doing this, you've already taken a huge step. You've gone from a place of what do I even write about to actually having an entire year's worth of article ideas ready to go. There's definitely more that we can do on this. And what I want to do over these next few episodes is walk you through how you can actually take that article idea and turn it into all of your marketing content through those steps that I was talking about doing each week. My plan is to work with you over the next 4 episodes and literally walk you through week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. Everything that you would do in each of those weeks to spend that hour and take that idea for an article and turn it into your content for your marketing. I hope you'll join me. Hit follow wherever you're listening and make sure you get notified of the next episode. We're going to be starting choosing that topic that you decided on. So I really want you to think about this and pick that content idea, that one topic you're going to write for your first article. And I'm going to walk you through some ways on how you can structure it, how you can keep it short and simple. Make sure that you're creating an article that connects with your ideal clients, but get it done and written. So do not skip this week's step because it is the base for all of that 1 hour a week marketing that we're going to start on the next time. Make sure you go back and you write down those bucket of content ideas. 3 buckets and 3 subtopics in each one. And then you'll be ready to go with the next episode. And that's all I have for you today, my friend. I want to make sure that we do this with as much ease as possible for you. And it's all about getting consistent by starting with clarity. Those buckets of content ideas and topics are going to give you the clarity you need to create 1 article a month, which is going to give you the consistency you need to be marketing your practice or your business so that you're bringing in more clients. Now that you've gotten the basis of how to create your content and the ideas you're going to need for it, be ready for the next time to learn what we're actually going to do if we were on week 1 of putting our MVP plan for marketing into place. It is all about taking that first step towards marketing that is saving you time and helping you get more clients. This is Kathy Colaiacovo signing off. And remember, to thrive in practice means keeping your marketing simple, consistent, and focused, not only on what works for you, but on what your ideal clients are looking for too. I'll see you next time. You can find all of our show notes and resources mentioned at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at pepperitmarketing and say hi. I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and make sure to rate and review the podcast and hit subscribe on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes.